All right, Coach, first meet for you guys. How do you think it went? What did you like? What didn't you like from the team?
About midway through the day, I wasn't very happy with how we were wrestling, but then I got to sit back and evaluate who we were wrestling, and we were wrestling a lot of Division I pro kids that, with our younger guys. And so we were losing matches that I'm like, why are we losing? Well, and I looked at who we were wrestling. And we have to overcome the fact we have to wrestle the man instead of the uniform. And for our summer guys, some of our younger guys, I don't know that they've figured that out yet. And I think after the tournament, they realized what had happened, and I think we'll make improvement for this week too.
Mitch, what about you? I mean, how do you think it went? I know you had a successful weekend over there. What was your take on the first chance to wrestle other opponents besides your teammates?
I liked it. It was a fun tournament. Like Coach said, those opens when you wrestle those D1 schools, you kind of got to forget about the schools you're wrestling and how Minnesota guys are there and all those guys and stuff like that. So you just kind of go and wrestle them like they're, like you said, anybody else in the room and see how well they can do, I guess.
Definitely. So from off of how that last weekend went, Mitch, what do you think you personally or your teammates will want to work on moving ahead into the season?
Me personally, I want to work on just getting stronger and filling out that heavyweight spot. And then my teammates, I guess, I don't know, I wasn't watching a whole lot of wrestling. I was kind of, thinking about me most of the day. It was an individual tournament. But, I guess the team, like Coach said, just thinking about, breaking it down more. Because, when I was a freshman last year and I wrestled all those real good guys, it was very daunting and intimidating kind of. So just kind of breaking it down and just thinking of them as any other guy, they put their pants on one leg at a time. So.
Definitely. Coach, what about yourself? What do you think are going to be some of the points you bring up in practices from, moving forward?
We need to work on the bottom position, getting away. But I knew that going in. That wasn't anything that was a surprise. Our emphasis was basically on our feet this year coming into the first tournament, and I thought we did, decent on our feet. But our emphasis right now has got to be on the bottom for at least the next week or so. And that's not unusual. That's you can't emphasize everything all the time. And so we kind of pick out things we're going to emphasize, and then we see how it goes, and then we pick up the next part and see where our weaknesses are. And definitely I felt like we need to do a better job on bottom. But that's just general for the whole group, so we'll work on that a little bit more.
Definitely. I know you said earlier that you kind of had to remind yourself of the competition you guys were up against last weekend. But did any of your younger guys surprise you? Were you pleasantly surprised by anything?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know how Mitch would do at heavyweight. When we recruited him, we told him we'd wrestle 197 the first year, and then after that we'd decide if he wanted to go to heavyweight or not. And I wasn't sure how he'd make the adjustment. I've always thought he would make a good heavyweight. And he did a real good job of adjusting to the style. Heavyweight has its own style of wrestling. Sometimes they're just waltzing, doing nothing, and you have to adjust to that a little bit when you're wrestling. Is understand that it's not a constant pace like some of the other weights are. Heavyweight's kind of a dance, and then they do something, and then they dance, and then they do something. And so you've got to be able to understand the pace and work positions. It's really important at heavyweight about positions, and I thought Mitch did a really good job in that. I was especially pleased, even though he lost the first match, we gave the kid Evan Knutson from NDSU, who's nationally ranked, we gave him a pretty good go, and I was pretty happy with that.
Is there, I guess this is for both of you guys, is there a different kind of mindset or preparation you need to have going into an open tournament as opposed to a dual meet?
From a coaching standpoint, I look at it as I want to watch everybody, okay? I'm not concerned about the scores as much as what do I see out of you? What do you do? Is there room for improvement? Is there things we need to work on? Those are the things I'm evaluating. So it's not so much centered like in a dual meet where it's every match. We got to focus on one match. Well, I may have in an open like the other day, at one point we had 4 guys wrestling at the same time. So your focus is more on the individual in the open. Their focus as athletes is on themselves. So that's what I said, realistically, I don't really care if they know what's going on with the other guys as long as they're watching them once in a while. But in a dual meet, we need to know what's going on from match to match to match to match because it affects the team score.